Hello and welcome to the Beckoning Bookshelf. I'm your host, Jeffrey Ashcraft. So this is part 2 of the Silver Trumpet by Owen Barfield. And if you've seen part 1, then you know I've already actually recorded part 2 because I split the episode into 2. So we're going to be jumping back in time to back when I actually recorded the original episode. So here we go. Another thing I wanted to talk about was one of the themes of the story. And I'm going to keep it general as to the book itself, so as to not give anything away. But it addresses how to confront some of our fears. And I really like how it does it, because it does this in a very relatable way, a very real way, and it works for both children and adults. So when you come across something that you fear, something that you're scared of, what is your typical reaction? Well, mine is typically to run and hide. I mean, that's just kind of the natural reaction we have, right? And it makes sense, you know, because that fear response, it's a protective response. We're trying to keep ourselves safe. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, that run and hide response isn't good, because it can actually save lives. But what if what you're running and hiding from, this thing that you fear, doesn't actually exist? What if it's pretty much in your mind? It's your imagination that's creating it, that's amplifying it, that's magnifying it. And you can't really run from your imagination. I mean, it's in your head. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. And so the book addresses this in a very good way, and I really like how it handles it. And it reminded me of a fear that I recently, just a few years ago, finally confronted and addressed myself. So, E.T., the Steven Spielberg film, this was released back in 1982, and I watched it as a kid back in the late 80s, early 90s. I don't remember the exact year. All I know is I was way too young to be watching this movie. I was in my cousin's basement. It was an evening, and we had a bunch of cousins there, and we were all watching this movie. Never seen it before. And I was just freaking out with the whole opening. You know, with E.T., you know, and him running through the bushes. You're seeing things from his perspective, and you're hearing his breathing, and I'm just freaking out. I am so anxious. I am so tense. I'm just like, I don't like this. I don't like this. And then with Elliot, I think that's the kid's name, as he's out, investigating the noises out in that, misty backyard with the cornfield and the little shed. And I'm just freaking out. I'm not handling this well. And then when he finally shines the light, and he and us, we both see E.T. at the same time, and E.T. screams, I was out of there. I was so fast. I was gone. I don't even think my cousins even noticed me leaving. I was gone. And I did not finish watching that movie that night. No way. And even to this day, when I see E.T., I get this echo of a run and hide response. I get a little echo of anxiousness. Oh, excuse me. I just get anxious, and it's just not. But I've dealt with it. I've seen the movie several times. It's fantastic, but I always refused to watch that cornfield scene when E.T. is first revealed, because I just didn't want to watch it again. It scared me that bad as a kid. So watching the movie since, whenever that scene would approach, I'd be like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Oh, I'm gonna go get some popcorn. Or, oh, I could have sworn I heard someone knock on the front door. I'll be right back. And it's not even my house. But I would find whatever excuse I had to just get out of there, and then I'd come back after the scene, enjoy the rest of the movie. Yay! But a few years ago, actually maybe it was just a year ago, but it was recent, I decided that I would actually watch that scene again. I would see how bad it actually is. Is it as bad as I remember it being? Because what I imagined, it terrifies me. So I finally decided to rewatch it. I mean, it's a movie scene. How is a movie scene going to hurt me? It's a movie scene. So I decided to rewatch it, and the beginning of the movie always just makes me tense up. It always makes me feel anxious. My heart rate goes up. I get that echo of the... It gives me the heebie-jeebies. I get the echo that I got to run out of there. And as the scene was approaching, I'm just like, okay, here we go. This is fun, right, guys? I'm watching it with family because they're all nice to me. And I'm making conversation because I'm uncomfortable. And then the scene hits, and it wasn't as bad as I remember. It was fine. I was fine. It's all fine. But just interesting how the scene was so much different in my head and how that's affected me over the years. And not that this was bad in any way, but it did kind of limit me because I was refusing to rewatch this scene. I was essentially, in a very lighthearted way, well, very inconsequential way, let's put it in those terms, putting myself into a tower. I was building a tower around myself to protect myself from the scene of that movie because I thought it was too scary. And I was confining myself to that. I was allowing that fear to confine me. It's not like I was missing out on anything, by the way. I mean, it's one scene of a movie. But at the same time, it's the concept. I was allowing myself to be entrapped by that scene, by that imaginary fear. And I will say this, it's possible that the movie that scene was altered. I have no idea, because the movie has been edited and changed since I watched it as a kid. So it may be that the scene I watched was worse. I don't know. No idea. Regardless, I did it. And I like how this book addresses confronting fears like that, imaginary fears. Now, I want to point out that while what you're fearing may be imaginary, may not be real, but the fear itself is very real. So that's something very important to address and to recognize that the fear is very real, even if what you're imagining, what you're scared of, may not be. And I like how the book addresses this because it shows two very important things. Well, actually, three very important things. First off is when you're finally confronting this imagined fear, it's not a one and done thing. You'll have to actually walk into the darkness for a bit. You actually have to prove to yourself that this is fine, that this is actually not going to hurt me. So like, for example, with the E.T. example, I actually had to watch the E.T. movie, watch the E.T. scene, and I had to deal with that uncomfortable feeling, with those heebie-jeebies, with that anxiousness, to prove to myself that, hey, this is just a movie scene, it's not so bad. I had to prove that to myself. So that's one of the cool things that this book helps relate concerning those experiences. Another one is you got to find something to grasp onto when you're in that dark hallway, when you're in that dark passageway, something to hold onto to keep you grounded, to keep you there. Whatever it be, whatever light source you find, whatever stability you find, you hold on to it with every fiber of your being, and you do not let go, because it will keep you safe until you finally realize that you're actually safe. So for me, again, going back to E.T., that grounded thought was, this is just a movie. I'm going to be fine. There's no way it's going to be as bad as I imagined it. I've done things far worse than watch this scene in a movie. I've done things a lot scarier. Scarier. Worse isn't scarier. So that's another lesson. And the third one is that, you eventually realize, oh, it's fine. And you realize that what you were so scared of was amplified by your imagination. It's not really that scary. And you're fine. Everything's okay. The sun comes up. The hallway becomes lit. And you realize, oh, this is actually a nice hallway. It's fine. It's cool. So I really liked how this book addressed that. How it helps both children and adults learn how to confront our imaginary fears. These fears that really don't exist or are unlikely to happen. And yes, these fears are more common in children because, children imagine monsters or E.T. coming to devour them in the night. But it's all the adults have these same imagined fears. well, not the same imaginary fears. They also have imaginary fears. They're just different now. Imaginary fears of failing, imaginary fears of getting lost, imaginary fears of not being liked. Which I guess some of those just are with everybody. But adults have the same problem. It's just different fears. So I really liked that theme and moral and message from this book. So have you read Owen Barfield's The Silver Trumpet? Have you even heard of The Silver Trumpet? I mean, it's an old book, and it has not been around for a while. And if you have read it, what do you think of it? Did you like it? Also, what is an imaginary fear? It's something that you feared that really didn't exist, that you've had to confront, if you're okay with sharing. I gave my E.T. example. I've got plenty of others, but the E.T. is the more entertaining one. Anyways, thank you for being here. Thank you always for being here. You are amazing. Now go find yourself a good book.